Hello everyone! Happy Mother's Day here in UK. Hope everyone is well today. So today is our last MONII episode 10 of season 1. And my name is Monica Gomes and I'm part of MONII team. And it's so great to be here today because our aim is to inspire the world with real stories and one at a time. So today we're going to have a beautiful inspiration story as well for another guest. And also we celebrate our great achievements because today is number 10, so only 6 months old, Moni is, and 10 international stories, more than 100 inspiration posts, and a sustained presence on 4 social media channels, including actually the creation of MONII Inspirational YouTube channel. So please make sure you watch that and you see all the beautiful stories. I can see so many people here. Sabiru, you here? So nice to see you here. And Jaime, Cynthia, so great to see you guys. And please let us know really which country you're watching MONII from today. It would be nice to see where you guys actually watching today. A big thank you to Alpa from our guests from last Sunday as well, and to all our guests for sharing their stories with MONII. So please do catch up with MONII stories online. Let me introduce now Sabirul Islam because I want to make sure I can bring him now into the camera in a minute because he's just connecting. And I know that we just need to wait for a few moments. It's just adding now. So let me tell you, at the age of 14, Sabirul set out on an unusual path as an entrepreneur, motivation speaker and writer. So he was grown up in Tower Hamlets, land of Borough Tower Hamlets. And there's some difficulty in terms of his financial conditions, but his passion and ambition to prove the world he would succeed is actually today such a great story. Sabri, I'm having some problems here to connect you. Can you just say hi to me again, just to see if we'll be able to bring you into the story, actually to the camera? Let's see. Just adding again.
Hi,
Here we
hi,
are.
Monica.
I love this.
I'm great. I'm great. Lovely. Thank you for the wonderful invitation to be on your show. And it's such a rewarding experience purely because it's our opportunity to reconnect as well after such a long time, and I'm so happy about that.
Right, absolutely. It's a long time because I've met you 15 years ago and you were just 16. And the reason actually I'm so proud today is because, today you're 30, come on, you can actually inspire us and tell us really. We're going to start, first of all, people that don't know you. Tell us 3 things about yourself that you would say what Sabiru is about. Go on, 3 things.
Well,
How do you
I'm an
describe yourself?
entrepreneur. In 3 words, I'm an entrepreneur and an author. So the past 15 years, I've been going around the world, inspiring people of all cultural backgrounds, trying to empower them to be more entrepreneurial and have that entrepreneurial, enterprising spirit in their sort of day-to-day activities, which I'll go into a lot deeper throughout this interview, and I'm really excited to share the journey.
Excellent. And how do you define your roots, Sabrul? And what influence did it have on the person you are today?
I think the core essence of where I grew up, or the cultural background, being from Bangladeshi background, was really difficult purely on the basis that not necessarily the cultural barriers that are already there that are set in place, born and raised in the borough of Tower Hamlets in East London. The challenges were that my parents didn't work or have not worked, living off state benefits, and being the eldest brother or the eldest sibling in the family, it was a lot of pressure to be had on such a young age that I was almost like my pathways were wanting to be set up by my family, by my culture, by my society, that when you grow up, you should become so-and-so. And following this academic route, which was, yes, great at time, but when you're looking at it in a much more broader scale, that who do I want to become? What do I want to achieve Where do I want to go in life? These questions were starting to trigger me at such a young age when a very important question hit me. And this was, when you leave this world, what will you be remembered for? And that was a very powerful question that hit me at such a young age, before our trip to New York. And it was one of those where I thought, how can I answer that? How can I define that? Who am I? And what is my purpose of being here? And it came to a point where I realized that the area, the community I'm growing up with, the lack of education or the know-how outside of this society, outside of this cultural barrier, it was very limited. And to step out of that, it's almost like you're fighting against your own parents. You're fighting against your own know-how of your own society, your culture, your background. And it was very difficult at first. And it didn't help the fact that I was diagnosed with epilepsy at the age of 8 as well. A neurological condition. So I used to have quite a number of seizures. And even till date, I had one just a couple of days back as well. So all of these things were barriers, were like issues that I had to overcome to be understanding who I want to become, where I want to go on a journey to then inspire others that they could do the same.
Yeah, what would you say to people that actually have this type of conditions? Because I'm sure at one point of your life you felt like, you know, maybe I cannot achieve my dreams, maybe because of that, because I've got epilepsy. What do you think, what would you say to people actually watching now that, you know, they still have so many dreams to achieve? What was that for you? What did you say?
There are a few things. First and foremost is the mindset. So having a positive mindset, because when you want to accomplish something, it's not necessarily about knowing where you want to go or what you want to do. That journey, the journey of exploration, that journey of self-discovery is everything. Because when you understand the inner self in terms of who you are and where that belief level comes from, it only happens when you give yourself a chance to explore, to want to be different, to want to behave different and act differently. And yes, you will have, you know, barriers and you'll have issues that are along the way. For me, trying to break out of that shell was the biggest challenge. To fight my own medical conditions was a big challenge. But one of the key things was when I went up and approached people saying, I want to learn more about what you do. I want to learn more about how you do certain things that I'm not necessarily used to. So having the courage to ask questions about these and not feeling shy or doubting these are key fundamental elements to understand how the rest of the world works, and also to trigger skills that you have which you may not be aware of at first. So these are really, really vital things which I had to go through for my teenage life. And I wasn't taught this through my academic roots, through my school life. I was taught this just from the willingness to want to try something else, try to be different. And these were key steps which I took. And I think I've inspired and encourage a lot of people to be able to ask questions, even if they sound daft, even if they sound crazy to you, to your family, to your society, to your culture. Try, because you're learning. The more you try, the more you experience something different, the more you learn about yourself, and then you get to realize, actually, okay, maybe this is for me, or maybe this isn't for me, and you get to tick something, you know, off your list. And that's an important way of learning, to try through, you know, trial and error, and all of these things are vitally important. I think that was a significant breakthrough for me very young.
Absolutely. And which achievement do you feel, or achievements you feel really feel most proud of?
I think it started off with the foundations. For example, when I started my business at the age of 14. So I was working with six of my friends, and they were all tech geniuses. And I have to say that if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be where I am today, purely on the basis that they inspired me with their knowledge, their know-how, and all I could do is just guide them and lead them. So I knew I had the qualities to be able to lead and inspire and to guide and influence. So I put together a group of 6 young people who were my friends, best of friends, and said, let's go outside and design websites for corporate clients. I don't want to sell to teachers in school. Let's go knocking on doors. And we were wearing our school uniform. We were crazy individuals going out into the likes of Merrill Lynch, ABN AMRO, JP Morgan, banks in the city of London, just knocking on their doors randomly and saying, can we design your website? And we were fortunate enough that individuals took us seriously, or at least a very limited amount of individuals took us seriously. There was a lot of people who actually said, actually, who are you? Why are you here? You're kids, you should be in school. But when you do something different, as I say, outside the norm of what society expects, some people will look at you and go, oh, I want to be a part of that journey, because you'll go somewhere, and I want to be tagged along or associated with that. And then you get to feed off their knowledge, their insights, their network, and really grow your own wealth and own level of understanding. And that's important. So I ran the business for 2 years, and that was a great learning experience. But then that question that I asked earlier on hit me: when you leave this world, what will you be remembered for? And I didn't want to be known as Sabirul Islam, the web designer, because you asked me today, Monica, if I'm a web designer, I don't know how to design a website. honestly to God, I wouldn't know how to design it. They were the experts. I just put together the team. You see, so that for me was like, okay, run it for 2 years. I ran it for
Absolutely.
2 years, and it was such a rewarding experience. But I thought, after, let me close this down, let me try something different. And this is what led to the opportunity with the Atlantic Fellowship to go to New York. And that's where I met you and the rest of the other
Yes,
individuals. And
absolutely.
that was a big turning point, because I was a very shy individual. I'm an introvert. I see myself as somebody who's so closed off, away from society, and to break these shells. And then you'll know from our experience 15 years ago that I wasn't that sort of individual who'd be outspoken. I would always be very shy, very quiet at the back, and I had to be asked to do something. But I actively got involved, and I actually got to learn more about, okay, these are different culturally background people. These are people of different knowledge and levels. They were a lot older than me. I was the youngest in the group. All of these played a fundamental role. So when I came back from the New York experience, I learned so much about the world, the rest of the world, and the diversity it has to offer, the knowledge it has to offer. That at the age of 17, I wrote my first book to inspire young people in my local community called The World at Your Feet. And this is simply to help young people to turn their vision into reality. And when I wrote this book, I approached 40 different publishers, and I got rejected by each and every one of those 40 publishers. Why? For 2 reasons. I was devastated, but they rejected me for 2 reasons, and these are significant. One was they thought a 17-year-old shouldn't even write a book. Hey, you should still be in school, you should be focusing on your studies. Why are you writing a book? You don't have a... And the second thing was they didn't think I had a market for this book. The young people would come up to me and say, Sabirul, can I pay £7.99 to buy your book? And maybe they had a point. But you can see when I designed the book myself, I'm not the greatest of artists in the world. It's a terrible front cover. But the message inside of the book was all about inspiring young people that no matter the age, race, religion, culture, where you are from in society, everybody has unique skills. When you're able to flap your wings and learn the elements of self-discovery, you can be somebody exceptional. And it's having that mentality to give something a try that you actually truly discover who you are. And this is what I learned through the Atlantic Fellowship at the age of 16. This is what I learned from my practical experience running a business. And then the book got self-published and then professionally published a year later by Marshall Cavendish. So you can see now it's a more professionally designed book that came out at the age of 18.
Beautiful.
So this was the initial journey that I took. And I think it was such a rewarding thing that when you ask myself, at the age of 16, Sabirul, are you going to become an author? No. That was never in my plan. But I knew I had something to share. And I think that's important for people to take away, that everyone has a story.
I think it's very, very good. Yeah, very good, Sabirul. And it's always very important as well to mention that it's good that we had support of these business and these companies like Merrill Lynch that actually supported the project, and we were able to actually at that time to go to New York on that, because I think sometimes young people really need to actually have these opportunities from business companies or organizations to actually open up, right? Because otherwise, if we didn't have these opportunities open, you won't be able to actually explore what is actually out there, right? So in terms of what struggles really did you face, and what compelling events changed your life? Sure. What did you say?
I think rejections was the biggest thing. Purely in the basis that the book experience was one thing. Yes, being rejected by 40 publishers was a difficulty. And to still have the courage to say, no, I am good enough to be able to prove these 40 publishers wrong. But I felt that the book itself took me to a certain pathway or certain moment in life where the book alone is not what defines me. It's not who I am. But it opened the door for the world of public speaking. And I was not, as I say, I'm an introvert. I'm a very shy individual. So to speak in front of an audience was a big thing. So the actual market for the book and for who I'm trying to inspire were young people. So how can I reach out to young people? And one of the biggest challenges was I didn't know how to go knocking on other schools. I was still 17 at the time. I didn't know how I'm going to reach out. So I was very fortunate enough that when I did a post online, a blog online, and this was read by quite a number of people, that I got an invitation to go speak in front of 250 head teachers who were sitting all under one roof. And this was an opportunity for me to share my story, who I am, what I do. And I got invited after this event to go to almost 250 head teachers who then, one after another, introduced me to different schools after another, local schools, and so on and so forth, where in the space of 9 months led to 333 schools I spoke to across the UK, which led to 42,500 copies of the book being sold. So I reached out to the market, and I think the challenge
Fantastic.
there was initially self-confidence that I could actually do it, and the actual proving myself that actually, yes, even if I am rejected, I still do have the qualities and the capabilities to make something happen. And it took me to a certain path. And I think it's an important message here that even when these difficulties happen, you'll actually learn that through these challenges, you get to learn so much about yourself. And I got to understand the importance of money at that time, because my parents didn't earn. And I was starting to earn a lot of money through my book, through my public speaking. I became a professional speaker from the age of 17 with the regular gigs that were coming through. And I thought, okay, how can I inspire and educate people about money? Because it's not always about earning money, but learning how to save and invest money. And this became a critical factor at the age of 18, when I thought, what can I do? What do young people like? What do they love, playing, enjoying? And how can I use the gaming factor as a form of education and as a learning tool? So at the age of 18, I developed this, which is the Teen Entrepreneur board game. And this board game was really to educate young people about financial education, because I learned to save money from a very young age. And there's an interesting story behind that. I was aged 8 when my dad gave me the first £50 note. It was the first £50 note he earned, and he gave it to me to guard with my life. And I was so excited.
So good.
I was so excited, and he
Of
told
course.
me, he asked me to promise one thing, that whatever I do for me not to share it with my mother, that he's given me this money. And I just was so excited. Oh my God, I've never seen this amount of money in my life. I was 8 years old. And that excitement through the evening, I couldn't handle it. So it was in my pocket. My mom comes down the stairs, and I'm like, Dad gave me this. This is the £50 note. And I was like so excited and nervous at the same time. My dad walks behind me and he goes, I'm disappointed in you, because we had a promise that I wouldn't show it to my mom, and I betrayed him. And it was that point, oh my God, what have I done? And he took that £50 note away from me. And it was since that moment that my mom used to, whatever loose change she used to have, she used to give it to me every week, and I would save. From the age of 8 to 16, I learned how to save, how to learn to invest that money for later on down the line. And kids and young people don't necessarily have that level of education through practical experience, because when they have money in front of them, they want to spend. You go all these online sites and stuff like that. They want to go and spend, buy clothes, buy shoes, all of these things. So this was a critical element to educate young people on financial education, and sold in 14 countries around the world, including used as a tool to educate young people about the rebasing of the Zambian currency as well by the government of Zambia, which was a great experience as well. So it's part and parcel of what I've gone on and the journey I've gone through in life. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Why do you think people really need inspiration? Why do you think first of all, it's like you going there, why do you think they need inspiration? And who is actually the people that waiting for you to
I
be
think
inspired?
the inspirational factor is critical, but the problem we always make is we are looking at inspirational figures who are hundreds of miles apart, and the distance between us and them is huge. So you look at celebrity lifestyle, and you look at, oh, I want to be like them. One day I'll grow up to become this multi-millionaire, multi-billionaire. I'll be the next Jeff Bezos or Bill Gates or whoever, And it's not, and there's nothing wrong in doing that. You have setting yourself an ambition, right? And nothing wrong in having an ambition, but there's a sense of realism as well, and being realistic. So how can you take that one step ahead? One step. Somebody who's an inspiration, one step ahead of you. So for me, it was my cousin, right? When I was 13 years old, he set up his business when he was 14. And he is the reason why I set up my business. So when I worked for him for a period of 2 weeks, he fired me after that period because I was a lazy sod, really. And that was a big learning curve. When he pointed a finger at me and said, Sabirul, you're fired, it was a massive learning point. The fact that you actually have to take responsibility for your own actions. You have to put an effort in to make something happen in life. But he's forever been my inspiration because he took that risk and courage at a young age. So that taught me a very important lesson about inspiration, that it doesn't have to be celebrities. It doesn't have to be people who are so far ahead of you. It can be people who are close to you, who's done something slightly more than what you've accomplished in life. And then once you reach their level of accomplishments and you feel that you've reached that sort of status, look up to somebody higher. So you're not setting yourself a huge task and you look at it and go, I could never achieve that. That's too much of a dream, but you're setting yourself something more realistic. And I think that instead of a long-term ambition, you're setting yourself objectives, small steps at a time. And I think these are fundamental. And I shared this message as a key learning tool as part of the Inspire 1 Million campaign, which I set up at the age of 20. And I think that was a big learning curve for a lot of people around the world who participated. And just to share with you what the Inspire 1 Million was about, this question that struck me: when you leave this world, what will you be remembered for? It actually struck me because I was invited to go to an event in Nigeria. I paid around £600 to be on a magazine. And this magazine went out to so many universities across the UK. And for 6 months, I had absolutely nothing. And I thought to myself, I just wasted £600 and I've not heard anything and no response, because I wanted to promote who I am and my book and so on and so forth. And all of a sudden I get a phone call out of the blue, a random phone call from someone you would not expect. I get a phone call from the former First Lady of Nigeria. She gives me a phone call and says,
Wow!
I've read your article in this magazine. I find it really inspiring. So she invited me to go over to Nigeria to speak in front of 3,500 people. And I was completely, honestly, I was completely blown away. Like, I've never traveled.
Wow, what an experience!
It was such a rewarding experience. And let me share with you the actual story of what happened there, because this was a big turning point as to why the Inspire 1 Million happened. Having traveled to Nigeria, I land in the airport, in Lagos airport, and I see nothing but, when I step outside the airport, a massive billboard with my face on it saying, "Welcome to Nigeria, Sabirul." I felt like a celebrity in a country I've never been to, and it was like such a rewarding experience. 3,500 people attend. But there was one story, one unique individual who was in fact a drug addict. He chose to come to this event because he wanted to turn his life around. And he was a passionate writer, but he's never published a book. And he wanted to share his story of how to combat drug addiction because he was going through rehab. And he spent 6 months in rehab writing his book away. And after that, when I came back to London, around 9 to 12 months later, he flies over to London, having published his book, and comes to just shake my hand and say, "Sabirul, you have changed my life." And that for me was,
well done, Sabirul. This is what all life is about.
It was one of the most rewarding experiences of my life, to think that you've gone to another country and I've shared a message. I only spoke for 20 minutes, and yet it had such an impact on this young individual that that question struck me: when you leave this world, what will you be remembered for? And all of a sudden, I was like, if I can go to a country like Nigeria and make a difference, what is stopping me from going around the world? And that is where the Inspire 1 Million idea came from, where I wanted to initially travel to 20 countries in the space of a lifetime, in my lifetime, and to inspire 1 million people. And such to the momentum it built from this idea, this concept of going to a country and speaking to as many young people, as many people as possible from different cultures, different backgrounds, generated such a movement that so many people wanted to be involved in supporting the campaign that I was very fortunate enough that in the space of 4 years, I've traveled to 31 countries, 82 times, delivering 867 events, reaching an audience size of 1 million people in the space of 4 years. So,
wow, I'm so proud of you. That's amazing. And this is why I believe that we really need more inspiration role models at all levels. We really need that. We need that stage that you talk about, because we all just looking, oh, these celebrities, these famous people, all these business people that have so much money. We really need to go down levels and actually create these role models like yourselves you were, and now look at you, all the big achievements you've done. So I'm so proud of you. So now tell us more about your recent book, right?
Yes. So the recent one just it launched just a month ago, called Build Your Confidence on Stage. And it's an ebook that's come out, and it focuses on 4 things. Well, the actual subject of it is about public speaking, how to become a professional public speaker, but there's 4 pillars that it covers. First and foremost is the speaker psychology, how you shape that mindset to become a speaker or generate that confidence to speak on stage. The second element is about the principles of public speaking. So what you need to do to actually prepare yourself for an event so that you understand the industry itself if you want to become a professional speaker. And thirdly, it's all the tricks and the know-hows of how to speak on stage with confidence. Like me being an introvert, battling with epilepsy, I've had seizures on stage when performing, yet I've had the confidence to still deliver speeches and not be afraid of who I am and the challenges that I face. So I talk about these in the book. And the 4th pillar is all about the profession itself, how to turn an aspiration for public speaking into a lifestyle profession, so you can actually earn a lifestyle living as a professionally paid public speaker. And this is out now on Amazon all around the world. So if you're tuning in, watching, if you would like to learn how to become a professional speaker, build your confidence on stage, can guide you through each and every step of the journey. And it's not just the book, there's also an online course which I've developed free of charge. So if you go onto the buildyourconfidenceonstage.com website, you'll be able to access the free course, a 30-minute training program which I developed to help educate people on how to become more fluent in public speaking and more confident in public speaking. So anyone who wants to take that on, I'm happy for you to sign up.
Excellent. So guys, there we are. Just look for that. That's beautiful. So now imagine, Sabirul, that you are 90 years old, and what would you actually say to your younger self?
I'd actually be proud, because in terms of saying something, there is nothing to regret. Because I would actually say to myself, you've done what you can do. You've managed to accomplish a vision, an idea which you've had to battle through your life to be able to accomplish. And I've only just turned 30, so it's, life still has this 60 years until I reach the 90 age, which you've referenced. So
of course,
there's a lot more that can be done. Do I know myself well enough? 100% no. The journey of self-discovery is every day. You learn something so much new about yourself when you meet different types of people who achieve extraordinary things. And you ask them, how did you do that? And how can I do the same? What are the footsteps that I can go through? So when I turn 90 and I look back, I want to be somebody who looks back and say, you've at least done the most you can do. And to be proud of that journey and that legacy, because you don't want to look back with regret. And I don't look back with regret in any way, from the age that I am now to when I look back to when I started. Do I look back, would I change anything? Maybe one or two tweaks, but then again, that's who I am. That's what's made me who I am. But there's no regret there. And I think that's the important thing. There could have been decisions that I could have taken much earlier, which could have had a better impact or better outcome. But that's the way of life. You learn from your mistakes. You learn from the troubles you go through and the challenges you face. And I say for anybody who is listening, it's always to have that positive mindset that whatever journey you go through, you're meant to be there at that point in time, and there's a reason you're there. So what you do going forward is totally up to you, and you get to dictate that. So there are no, let go of the shackles, the whatever handcuffs or whatever is holding you behind. If it's your culture, if it's your society, if it's your own self, you need to let go of all that and actually have that sense that I can be somebody extraordinary, and it's only me who's stopping me from accomplishing that goal. So what you want to become is just a matter of having an idea and finding the support network to be able to guide you to achieve that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And what is your biggest failure, and what did you learn from it? Because this is all about overcome the fears. The failures. If you actually, if you think about something you failed, what actually
I think the biggest failure were certain projects that I ran, because the ambition I had with for example, the board game to the retail sector. And I thought to myself, okay, I'm going to be competing with the likes of Monopoly, the likes of all of these big board games, Scrabble, and I was thinking to myself, wow, really, after a year down the line, is this really my competition? And I pulled out of the retail approach because I knew I couldn't compete with that, because I'm competing with giants. And I'm not a giant. I'm not somebody who can take it up to that level. Yes, I have the ambition to want to compete with them, which is a good thing. But I looked at myself and think, is this going to reach my target audience? So I wouldn't say it was a failure. I thought it was more of a coming down to earth sort of approach, where actually I need to target my market a bit more directly. And I think that's where I stuck with the academic route. I stuck with the education sector, and thought, let me push it to the academic sector. Then at least this could reach the students more directly, and they were able to learn and be educated directly, rather than having parents go into a store and see so many different board games and wait for Christmas for them to buy this. And that wouldn't be the best sort of approach. So I had to look at alternatives. There are other moments where I've made silly decisions. For example, rejecting certain clients, certain countries who wanted to participate in programs because I had so many other engagements lined up. And I look back and think, could I have prioritized better? But again, these are questions, if if you plunge yourself into those thoughts, you're always going to have negative feeling and negative outcomes from it. So I don't necessarily look at it in a bad way. I think any moment of rejection, failure, I look at it as a form of success, purely on the basis that I got fired by my cousin, which at the time hurt a lot. But I look back and think, wow, it's probably the life-changing moment. If he hadn't had the courage to fire me, I wouldn't have set up my business.
Absolutely.
And if I hadn't been rejected by
completely agree.
If I hadn't been rejected by banks, and for the first 6 banks I approached, the 6th bank or 7th bank wouldn't have accepted me. So just keep going until you find something. And that's the story of life. And I think anyone and everyone will relate to that and can actually see that the importance is giving something a try and not having any regrets afterwards.
Fantastic, Sabirul. It's time now to ask our audience if they have any questions for you guys. If you have any questions, please write in our comments box. And I'll try to select one now. Otherwise, Sabirul, you will get back to everyone after this live talk and you'll reply to everyone. And just before we actually finish, I just want to ask Sabirul, tell us 3 takeaways for our audience today. Sabirul.
There are 3 P's I'd like to share. And I think that's very important. First and foremost is positivity, as I've shared. So having that positive mindset, and no matter where you're from in society, no matter what challenges you are faced, even with this COVID situation that we're going through around the world, there is positive light at the end of the tunnel. And if you have that mindset that when you come out of it, you come out of it as a stronger person, and you'd have learned so much that you're able to go through difficulties in life and actually embrace them and see the better side of it. It's an important learning curve. So always have a positive mentality, no matter how bad the situation is. The second is passion. And I think with passion, it's a really deep-rooted word. And passion isn't just about loving something or doing something because it sounds nice. Passion is much more. There's I talk about it in my new book, Build Your Confidence on Stage, where it's actually to have a passion for something. It needs to resonate with so many areas of your life, so many areas of your roots in terms of who you are as a person, what you want to become, where you want to go, with the types of people that you want to be associated with. There are much more wider things that passion can connect with, but be passionate in life, that what you want to accomplish, what you want to do. If you don't have a bold ambition, bold vision, then you will actually be limiting yourself to who you are and what you can do. And the journey of self-discovery is also falls short. So because you're learning new about yourself every time. And then the third thing is perseverance, hard work. Because if you don't work hard, you don't strive, and you don't work smart, you're actually going to fall behind. And we're in a world where things are moving at such a rapid pace that it becomes difficult often to keep up. And sometimes you need to find new and innovative ways to do things. So think of things that make you feel happy, make you feel good, make you feel positive, but keep at it, even if things don't happen overnight. Because it took me many, many years to realize what I love doing. I had to set up a business, I had to write books, I had to create games, until I realized that actually my passion is public speaking. I love going on stage and to inspire an audience, and this happened to the Inspire 1 Million campaign. So again, you need to go through many hurdles to be able to discover what you truly love, and don't be afraid to give it a try.
I'm inspired, and thank you so much, Sabirul. I'm sure everyone here that is watching today and going to watch this story afterwards will get inspired by your story. Thank you so much for your contribution.
Thank you to MONII, thank you to yourself and the team behind who have reached out and supported the journey. And I'm so glad we've reconnected after 15 years. Oh my God, it's been such a rewarding experience back at the age of 16. So we'd love to stay in contact and to reconnect with everybody else who we're on the trip with. So hopefully this is an opportunity to do so.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Sabirul. We hope Sabiril's story has inspired you. Please let us know your thoughts. And today it was our last episode of season 1, and it could not finish better with Sabiril's story, really. So it will be lovely to hear your feedback as well. So we're going to put a link there for a quick survey. It will take you 2 minutes. If you could just let us know how many stories has inspired you, it would be great. And thank you, everyone. And watch out for season 2 and stay safe, well, and healthy. Bye, guys. See you later. Bye, Sabirul.